What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Bullfrog submachine gun. This is the Cold War version of the Bison, and because the Modern Warfare Bison was just kind of not very good at anything, a lot of people are underrating this weapon when in reality it is one of the best submachine guns in the game. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing if you would like to see more content from me. Also, comment down below letting me know what you think of this Bullfrog class setup. We're going to go through why this gun is underrated, what's good about it, how it compares to the other submachine guns, and then I'm going to give my class setup for it. If you only care about the class setup, there will be a timestamp in the description to where you can skip to that. So, why is this SMG underrated? What is good about it? It has good damage and a good fire rate. Both of those are very good. It's low recoil and it has a 50 round mag by default. It also has very good range and very good bullet velocity. So, what I just said, it's good at literally everything. This gun has no downside. When you look at something like the MAC-10, it has a ridiculous fire rate, but also lower damage. When you look at the Cold War MP5, it has really good damage, really good fire rate, but it has a lot of recoil. Modern Warfare MP5, somewhere in between the two. Whereas this Bullfrog is just incredibly versatile and incredibly good at literally everything with no weakness. This is like a jack of all trades submachine gun. It's very reminiscent of the MP7 from Modern Warfare, which was a top tier SMG. Wasn't the best, but it could hang with the MP5, and some people preferred it for certain loadouts. I think the Bullfrog is going to be like that. It's going to be a better MP7, and it's going to fill that same role that the MP7 fills. And it's just incredibly consistent. I'm going to have some stats on here from True Game Data. His site will be linked down in the description below. This is like the best resource for all like information regarding Warzone. And as you'll see here, we have on this graph, the Bullfrog, the MAC-10, the MP5 from Cold War, and the Modern Warfare MP5. The Bullfrog is the orange line, and you see it is a little bit slower. It is a little bit higher up. The way these graphs work, the higher up they are, the slower they're killing. So you see that Cold War MP5 melts. And then we have the Modern Warfare MP5, and then the MAC-10, and then the Bullfrog. But that line of the MAC-10 and the Bullfrog are so close to each other, and they both have very similar range. A lot of people think that the MAC-10 is ridiculous, but its time to kill is actually very comparable to the Bullfrog, and the Bullfrog has some added benefits that we'll get to later when we're talking about our class setup. Another thing that's really nice about the Bullfrog is that it has very consistent damage regardless of where you're shooting and a very good headshot multiplier. I'll have on screen now the base stats comparison, and you can see the damage that these weapons do. And one of the first things you'll notice is that the Bullfrog has the best headshot damage by far. Another thing you're going to notice is it does very good extremities damage, just like the Modern Warfare MP5 does. If you look at like the Cold War MP5 or the MAC-10 especially, they drop off damage more when shooting extremities. Those are the arms and the legs. And the reason why that's going to matter, obviously you would just like to be shooting upper chest at all time. That's when you're going to get your best damage and potential for headshots randomly. But with how some machine guns work, a lot of times these are just scrappy guns that you're going to be jumping around with, hip firing, drop shotting. There's a lot of nonsense that often goes on in SMG fights because of how random they can be and how these weapons are used for like pushing buildings and playing aggressive. So having consistent damage to extremities is actually quite viable, and having a huge headshot damage is really nice as well because you might accidentally get some headshots mixed in there. I wouldn't really recommend aiming for headshots with your SMG, but if you do get headshots, the Bison kills ridiculously fast. And that extremity damage being consistent is something that you should not undervalue, because I think that's one of like the sleeper reasons why the Modern Warfare MP5 just feels so consistent all the time, is because it has a consistent damage pretty much regardless of where you're shooting. And the Bullfrog is the same way. If we go back to the graph, I'm going to uncheck the Cold War MP5 and the MAC-10, and you'll see that the Modern Warfare MP5 and the Bullfrog are pretty comparable. The Modern Warfare MP5 kills faster up to 10 meters, but from that point on, the Bullfrog kills faster until 31 meters, which is probably more than you're going to be wanting to use your submachine gun at anyways. So I think it is best to think of this weapon as the MP7, but better because of some of the intangible benefits that you have with the Bullfrog. So yeah, definitely try the Bullfrog. It's definitely underrated. I don't think it's like the best submachine gun in the game, but a lot of people aren't rating it highly at all because they think of the Modern Warfare Bison, when in reality the Bullfrog is just a completely different beast. It's like the king of reliability and versatility when it comes to a submachine gun, especially if you're someone who likes to run sniper SMG. I think the Bullfrog is going to be like an incredible weapon for you, and you should definitely be trying it out. So now that that's said, we're going to get into the class setup, and then we're going to have more gameplay after that if you want to continue to watch it. If not, thanks for watching. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think of this weapon, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. So for our class setup here, there's actually a lot of different things you could do depending on what you value. We're going to have the GRU suppressor, which is basically the monolithic suppressor. We're going to have the task force barrel. This is pretty much the best way to go with your SMGs at all times. We're going to have the Spetsnaz grip. This is this gun's version of the field agent foregrip. And then the rest of the choices are up to you. It has a 50 round mag by default, so I opted to just not even use a mag attachment and then put my attachment somewhere else. But if you wanted to, 65 round mag, or just the basic fast mag, both of these are going to be good and you don't get any downsides. You could go for the 85, but it does have more of a downside. If you are going to go for one of these, go for the normal 85 and not the 85 round fast mag, because this one has a much larger ADS penalty. But 65 or just the basic fast mag are good and there's no real downside to them. Then, as far as stocks go, you're probably going to want to use a stock. They're very good attachments. I'm using the wire stock for just strictly better sprint to fire time. But if you like the feel of it, the Spetsnaz PKM stock is insanely good as well. It's basically the SAS combat stock if you've been using that on your Mac 10. And then for lasers, you could go steady aim laser like I did, or you could do this laser, which is even better hip fire, but it does have an aim down sight time penalty. I just kind of wanted to go for attachments that have no negative, so that's why I went for what I went for here. But since this gun is incredibly versatile and it doesn't really have any major weakness, you could pretty much go wherever you want with this build. You could even put on an optic if you really do not like the iron sights. They're weird. I didn't like them at first, but they're fine. I got used to them. So yeah, that's the build for this weapon. A lot of different things you could do. Let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite, but this is actually a very good gun, and there's a lot of different ways you could go with the attachments for it because of how consistent it is and the fact that it has that 50 round base mag.
Motherfucker, dude.
That was awkward.
Be advised, there's an enemy team hunting you.
Like, what was that versus a Fennec? You would not. I would not expect that. Dude, why didn't he just shoot at me? Like, he tried to like assassinate me, I think.
We got recon online.
UAV entering the AO.
That sucks for him.
You fucking.
He is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply.
Nice, bro. I was hoping that glass would bait him into peeking. I've wanted to kill him for so long, bro.
Be advised, UAV RTB for resupply. Enemy precision airstrike. Take cover.
Out of here, bro.
4 targets remaining. Good work.
God, the AMAX is so insane. I love it. It just like fits so good for me.